Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles, the elders. Salutations to you, sincere brothers, teaching in truth and in sincerity. This lesson will be entitled Black Newborns 3 Times More Likely to Die When Looked After by White Doctors. My source, CNN.com. And this article is entitled Black Newborns 3 Times More Likely to Die When Looked After by White Doctors, published on August the 18th, 2020. Black newborn babies in the U.S. are more likely to survive childbirth if they are cared for by black doctors. You so-called black people. According to holy doctrine, you are the tribe of Judah, and that's based on your father's lineage, but 3 times more likely to die when looked after by white doctors. You so-called white people. You are Edomites according to holy doctrine, based on your father's lineage. A study has found. Psalm 64:7, but the Most High shall shoot at them, referring to the nation of Edom, beginning with their nobility, hence the international bankers, with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded. Verse 8, so they shall make their own tongue to fall on themselves. This source is CNN, and this article states black newborn babies in the U.S. are more likely to survive childbirth if they are cared for by black doctors, but 3 times more likely to die when looked after by white doctors. All that see them shall flee away. The mortality rate of black newborns shrunk by between 39% and 58% when black physicians took charge of the birth, according to the research, which laid bare how shocking racial disparities in human health can affect even the first hours of a person's life. By contrast, the mortality rate for white babies was largely unaffected by the doctor's race. Why? Because we are in Esau's rulership. Okay, the elite bankers are instructing the so-called white physicians to kill off Jake. And this goes back to what? Envy and hatred. Genesis 27:41, and Esau, you so-called white people, hated Jacob because of the blessing, referring to the kingdom of heaven / kingdom of Yahushua. Jacob, you so-called Negroes, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, and you Israelite foreigners, based on your father's lineage, wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother. And according to this article, Black newborn babies in the U.S. are more likely to survive childbirth if they are cared for by Black doctors, but 3 times more likely to die when looked after by white doctors, a study has found. Another point, by contrast, the mortality rate for white babies was largely unaffected by the doctor's race. Psalm 73 and verse 3, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. These Edomites, so-called white people. Verse 5, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Hence this article. By contrast, the mortality rate for white babies was largely unaffected by the doctor's race. It also states, the findings support previous research which has shown that white infant mortality rates have fallen in recent decades. Black children remain significantly more likely to die early than their white counterparts. Psalm 73 and verse 5, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Why? Because they are in their rulership. However, their end is coming regarding their downfall. Researchers from George Mason University analyzed data capturing 1.8 million hospital births in Florida between 1992 and 2015 for the new study, which was published Monday in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the U.S. of America, also known as PNAS. When cared for by white physicians, Black newborns were about 3 times more likely to die in the hospital than white newborns, the researchers found. Strikingly, these effects appear to manifest more strongly in more complicated cases, and when hospitals deliver more Black newborns, the authors wrote, the findings suggest that Black physicians outperform their white colleagues when caring for Black newborns. Matthew 2 and 16, then Herod, which was an Edomite, a so-called white man, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, Israelites, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Herod was trying to offset prophecy. he was trying to murder Yahushua. And it's the same thing today. Nothing is new under the sun. These so-called white physicians are trying to murder off Israelites so they can receive the kingdom of heaven by default. Everything is spiritual. The authors did not speculate about the reasons behind the trend, but wrote, taken with this work, it gives warrant for hospitals and other care organizations to invest in efforts to reduce such biases and explore their connection to institutional racism. Reducing racial disparities in newborn mortality will also require raising awareness among physicians, nurses, and hospital administrators about the prevalence of racial and ethnic disparities, the researchers added. For he said, because the Lord Yahweh hath sworn that the Lord Yahweh will have war with Amalek, the head tribe of Edom, so-called Jewish people, from generation to generation. Okay? These so-called white people want the blessing, beginning with the nobility of Edom, and they're instructing physicians to murder Jake because ultimately they want what? Job 5:12, he disappoint the devices of the crafty. He is referring to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, the crafty, referring to the nation of Edom, beginning with their nobility. And one device is what? Black newborn babies in the U.S. getting murked by so-called white physicians. So that their hands, meaning their power, their might, their control, cannot perform, carry out their enterprise, which is what? The New World Order. Lord will, you are edified. Shalom.